TGIF. Hope you all have had a wonderful week. I know you are ready for the weekend to begin. So, welcome to the Just Ask Shar Advice Channel. We will be getting started very soon. So get comfortable, get ready, and relax. We sincerely thank you all for your support. This channel is sponsored by you, the subscribers. When you want to hear another perspective for yourself or a friend, then just send an email for advice to justaskshar@gmail.com. All right, we are ready to get this show started. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend. There will always be a perspective or some advice that someone can benefit from and use. Now, here's your host of the show, Shar Willie.
Hey, good people, good people. TGIF to you. Hope you had a great week. Hope you're doing all right. I'm going to say it's been interesting. I've been out looking at the neighborhood, seeing what's going on, who's opening, and all that good stuff. And yeah, it's not a lot of stores open here in Chicago. Not like the big raving and ranting of, we want to be outside. Where's our rights? And all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so a lot of stores are not going to be open. There was some businesses that were lost because of the liberating, out there, but some just don't have the money in itself to run. We all were affected from what has gone on. So, and I mentioned Saturday, because I know I don't get the same viewership on Saturday when I do the article reaction. But I mentioned that I myself had contacted Discover Card and I had asked what was available. And for them, they will give you 3 months of no payments. The interest rates will continue as far as the finance charges, that will continue rather, but no payment is required. And they'll do that for 3 months with Discover Card. I did check with another card. What's the name of that company? Citibank, and they are doing 2 months of no payments required. Now, as far as Discover Card, because that one I actually own, they stated that after the 3 months, what they will do is you can give them a call back and they'll take a look at your account and see what they can do as far as lowering your interest and or just lowering your payment. And I'm going to tell you, every company, except I can't verify American Express, I did not call them, but every other company out there that has a credit card, they will defer your payment. So I've actually mentioned that earlier when I um, was reading about it. Defer, defer, defer. If you have the money to pay, I will state that I would call anyway because this is the only time I can foresee that you're going to have an opportunity to not have to pay your bill. Yes, you would have the interest charge. And if you have the money, pay just the interest charge, and that's it. But it's wonderful for those who just need a break. They can defer for 3 months. The minimum is two, but a lot of companies out there are three. And like I said, Discover Card is definitely three, and Citibank is definitely two. So defer, defer, defer. I tell you all. Let's see, what else do I have to report? There's been a lot of graduations, and a lot of well, some people, they've been out there going to some of the neighborhood shops that are opening to get the nails done and all that kind of stuff. But what I noticed is they're making everyone stand outside. They will not allow you in their store. So I don't know if they're going with the narrative that African Americans are the ones that are carrying the virus. I don't know if that's it, but it's kind of coincidental that those stores that I actually seen, they made those people stand outside. You were not going to go in there and get your weave, your nail glue, and anything else. You have to stand outside. So I found it very interesting. Huh, go figure. Now, tonight's show, I have a guest, and the guest is, let's see. Yep, the guest is not here. So we're going to begin the show anyway. If the guest arrives, well, we'll have the guest, and if not, we'll carry the show for a minute. We'll end it and maybe reschedule with the guest. We'll see how that go. You know how I am when it comes to time. I do not want to waste anybody's time, not yours and not mine. And without any further ado, we're going to have the classy, classic Ruby, everyone.
Thank you for having me. So lovely to be here. Hello, Shar. Hello, wonderful, beautiful audience, Gray Regime. I love you all. Thank you for having me. Okay, I'm done.
Smooches.
Right? Smooches, y'all. Smooches.
This is too funny.
I'm telling you, every time I'm gonna have a different greeting. I decided, I should plan them in advance, but I always don't. And then I'm sitting there on the spot, like, oh crap, what's my new greeting gonna be? I'm gonna start planning them in advance.
There's nothing wrong with that. You're creative.
Right?
Do the darn thing.
I mean, damn, I get applause when I walk in. The least I can do is entertain y'all with a different entrance. Like you gotta tune in because you're like, how's Ruby gonna say what's up this time, right? Like you you gotta tune in just for that.
Right. That's too funny.
hmm
Did you want to add to with the credit card bills or anything? I'm giving my guest a few more minutes before I go into the subject.
Well, in all fairness, I must say that time got away from me. I don't know. Like I looked, I'm like, oh my god! I tuned into. I'm like, Char's talking already. So it was like more of a mad scramble to get onto the panel than it was listening to the first few minutes. I apologize profusely. I was running a little behind. So
No problem. I now last Saturday when we started up the um why do I have the word advice in my mouth? I know the word is article, but I keep wanting
articles.
to say for some reason I want to say advice.
I know what you mean.
When we started back up with the article. Um, I had mentioned because I that day, that Saturday, I had called Discover Card because at first I wasn't going to call them. I'm like,
Hmm.
I'll wait till Monday. And I'm like,
Mm,
let's just see. So I went on to call them, and they had offered me 3 months deferred payment.
hmm.
They explained that I still would have interest charge if I wanted to pay that I can. If not, that's fine. And I said I was going to mention that this week, so I just mentioned to everyone, that. And also, I did call the company Citibank, and they're offering 2 months. So I
Oh,
gave them the update on that,
nice.
and then I just mentioned what I saw, which was interesting to see that some of these stores that are opening up, they have the black people standing outside to make their transactions with their weave and nail glue and all that stuff. And even I kid you not, the beauty supply store that I looked at, they had those people standing outside. That's
Wow.
how they got service. You said I want pack Remy number whatever 1010, however it go,
Hmm.
and they went and got it. You want this? You want this one? You like this one? $10.
Hmm.
And that's how they service them.
Well, okay, I'm gonna give the Asian people who I confirm are racist though, but I'm gonna give them a pass on this one because these people don't play. Okay, like in their own, like in Chinatown and stuff here in Toronto, like they don't play. When there's any kind of outbreak or whatever, they are not playing with people. Okay, they still want to make money, right? They're still here to make
Hmm.
money, but they're not trying to infect themselves, their product. They're not trying to have to pay for expensive what's it called, they have to not detox, but when they sterilization of their products and whatever, they're not trying to do all of that, right? So
Hmm.
they do tend to run their businesses that way when there is an outbreak on the horizon, because I remember when they did it when it was SARS, no, not yeah, SARS, or the pig flu, one of those flus. And I remember we all thought at the time, because we're all
Uh-huh.
ignorant people and the internet wasn't the way it is now, but I remember we all thought at the time like they must all be sick and infectious because they walked everywhere with the masks on, right? And so we
Hmm.
thought, well, they're wearing the mask because they're sick. And it's like you go through Chinatown and everyone's wearing a mask and you're thinking, oh my God, they're all infected. But that's not what it is. It's
Right.
just that they have a much more intelligent practice than we do. They don't wander around and hope they don't catch something. They go, oh, there's something to catch. Well, I'm going to protect myself and protect my business and protect my children and protect everything and be extra vigilant. So even though it looks ignorant, and I get it, and I'm not trying to take away from the racism. They are racist people too, but I think in this case, this is just like a common practices thing. You know what I mean? Like they do stuff like this anyway to their own people in their own little villages when they create them. In my experience, so I'm gonna give them a pass on that one. But what I
Okay.
think is funny, and I
Hmm.
do see now, I can't criticize the women though either. I was gonna criticize the women a little bit, but I can't,
Okay.
because I'm telling you, when I found out that there was finally a black hair store open, man, you don't understand. Shar, I put a list of like 10 things together. Man, I was excited. I didn't care about food. I didn't care about water anymore. I didn't care about nothing. I couldn't wait to get my hair products, and I almost cried when I got them. Right? So I'm telling you that
Wow.
now, if I could get the Omega 369 hair defining smoothie or whatever it's called, if I could get that, the Shea Moisture one, I'm telling you, I would travel right now In the middle of the night, I'd be like, Char, listen, I gotta go. I got a 411. I can finally get this product, right? Because it's sold out everywhere. Because everything American, once they sell it, it's gone. Right? Because nothing's coming across the border. So like me, I'm telling you, I would do a lot for my hair products. So I can't even criticize these women. I can't because I'm rolling the same way right now during COVID-19 crisis. I can't lie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all.
Yeah, I had just mentioned, because before they were, well, we know, and because we've seen it on the news where they were really against black people in China and just wouldn't service them, even
Yeah.
in McDonald's. So I said, I'm wondering if this has anything to do with it. But okay, we'll give them
I'd say it connected
50-50.
too. Listen, 50-50 because honestly, if we
Yeah.
know what they think. Like again, I said I can't take away the racism part of it because it's true, right? Like it's like it's in there. Somehow or another it's in there. But I'm giving them a pass because I've seen them do it to their own during a crisis. So that's why I'm giving them the pass. I'm not saying there's nothing racist in there somewhere. I'm not saying that when they go home they don't say all kinds of stuff. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that this time it's a 50. Let's do 50-50. I'm good with that one. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, good people. My guest has arrived, and
Woohoo.
the title is Family Feuding. And this can happen when you have parents that are aging and maybe in some type of institution or
Mhm.
home or anything. And you have to prepare for their death. And that's when you see a different side of your family: sisters,
Mhm.
brothers, uncles, cousins, all of them. Sometimes it can get really ugly.
Mhm.
And our guest, Art New Style, he has a story to share with us. And I will also, give my take of what I've seen and anyone else. So I'll be putting the link in the chat room, and we all can talk about our experiences if you like to share. And
Mhm.
we'll see where we go from there.
All right.
And welcome to the panel. Hello, Art.
Hey, big brother Art, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Leah sister and Shar the greatest? What's going on, everybody?
Mhm.
And the best artist on
Mhm.
I'm
YouTube.
Damn,
so
that's right. Mhm.
never mind. Yeah, don't you know that? Never mind. I gotta be cool on this show. Never mind.
That's right. Because I'll put you in the back.
I was gonna joke out there, but like, nah. Just about today's events and things. But anyhow,
Mhm.
well, I mean, what's good, everyone? What's the flavor?
Well, flavor is, let me see, oh, I got some flavor, yeah, because I got a little drinky drink going on.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm drinking lemon water, but that's the strong stuff. Y'all ain't ready for that.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I can take that sourness. Ugh.
Yeah, that's the strong stuff.
Mm-mm. No, thank
Yeah,
you.
that'll make you frown.
Mm. Ruby's always got her tea, so
Right.
I got my tea. I can't say nothing about no lemon anything, but I do have tea. So there's
Yeah,
that.
I killed my tea, so now I have my lemon water left. So I'm waiting on that to. I'm sipping on that for a while. This California breeze.
Oh, okay.
Okay, okay,
All
great,
right.
okay, then yeah.
Just chilling. Yeah, yeah, just over here. I'm trying to figure out because man, I forgot. This is like the squeaky clean channel.
So what you trying to say?
I had to stop myself twice, so can't say nothing.
Yeah, we try to
Let
just
everybody know where I was going on my other channel, so
oh,
hopefully
no problem.
coming through.
No problem. This channel is about advice and actually helping people solutions. Not just talking about the problem. day in and day out. So
Oh,
that's
we ain't talking
the
about
only difference I
relationships.
am.
We ain't talking about relationships and problems with the opposite sex.
You know what? I can talk about it, but I'm only going to talk about it once, and
Darn.
that's it.
I'm
Not tomorrow, next week, and next month,
no dysfunctionalities.
next year, year after that, 2 years later, five. No, because if it, the information I give, if you're not able to apply it, because you have to do something, there's always some action you have to take.
Right.
And then there's some variables about who you are.
Yeah, that's too much work
Mhm.
for them. You know that's too much work for them. So
Oh, well,
Mhm.
like,
Ain't
why?
that the truth?
I gotta think. God dang it! I gotta think.
That's too. That's too much accountability for them. The thinking you
oh,
shouldn't. It shouldn't. Nothing should have to come with any type of thinking. Come on now.
Always gotta think. You guys always making me think. I know they
that's
would never
right.
say that, but I ain't admitting it. But you know how it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
I understand.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not quite sure how you like to give the start off because this is a very interesting conversation. I don't know how you like to start sharing. Um, the best way you can share for yourself so you won't be too emotional about some things, just whatever is best for you.
Well, how you want to do like a Q and A, or you want like
Um,
a police a lineup, or
I like police lineups actually, but no. What I'll do will I'll give you I'll lead you down the line here.
okay.
Okay, so you had some family feuding. Has it been resolved as of today?
Not really. I mean, I lost a lot, so the only thing left was
Okay,
take them to court and sue them for loss and damages.
okay, so it's maybe almost over. Okay, so we'll start from the beginning.
Mhm.
Um, when you lost um, your parent, is this when it began? Is this when the family
There
feuding
was some
began?
feuding with her before she passed,
Okay,
so they kind of gave her a lot of grief and a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? They gave her a lot of problems when they were staying with her because they had nowhere else to go. My mother was on that family code stuff, blood is thicker than water and all that, and they happened to get evicted um, before they stayed with her, and so they gave her a timeline when they were going to leave, and then they kept moving the dates back. And I guess it was my aunt, cousin, and my cousin's daughter. And so my mother just really felt bad because she didn't want them going place to place with the little girl. And so it got to the
okay.
point to where they were just a pain in the ass in the house. I mean, they had the daughter bouncing off the walls late at night, ruining the carpet, putting stuff on walls. Everybody had TVs up, music up. They were running up the electricity and the water. I mean, it was really like way up there. And so my mother's retired. Matter of fact, they moved in with her when she retired. And so she thought she was going to relax and travel, or whatever. But
Uh-huh.
uh, they weren't really kicking in at first. She was just going to let them save a little money so they can move or whatever. But she was complaining to me that they were going to Target every Friday, buying a lot of fast food, spending money at J.C. Penney's, all these different places. And then I guess it started getting ugly where they were like kind of like what's the word, confronting her and saying you can't make me pay, and we're talking about gas, utilities. Only thing that they were concerned about was cable. Right?
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. Doesn't this sound like a conversation I had not long ago? I tell you. Um, for those in the audience, we talked about this on a couple of letters that I received when it
Mhm.
comes down to having people stay with you, making arrangements. And I had a couple of people, and it was, I laughed or whatever. I know my way is not, it was not legal, but it still would not stop me from getting you out of my house. I
Mm-hmm.
will have you kidnapped, and that's just it. So, allegedly.
Allegedly.
So, I just want to throw that in, and you can continue. So we're at the part where they're not contributing, they're partying, they're having a good old time, and now they're saying, "Why you got a problem now?" Pretty much, right?
Yeah, because the bills were like, everything was doubling and tripling as far as the electric bill, the gas, water. They were like downloading, what do you call it? Downloading like movies and songs. They were just doing it. They were living it up. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, and she was complaining. My mom was complaining to me and a few family members and friends, and we kept saying, kick him out. And my mom was like, "Well, I don't want to have them run around with that little girl." And I said, "You got two adults. They gonna make sure she's all right, you know." But they pretty much and they figured out that my mother was keeping them around because she felt she would have felt guilty if they're out, running, out and about for that little girl, which she's big now. But she
Okay.
told me to lay low and play it cool and don't say nothing. So every time I went in there in the house, they were like, it was almost like they were two sides of the house, and you could tell like they had an argument. Somebody's breathing heavy and pissed off at something, and so that was going on for years. And I think after so much time, it took its toll. Along with that, and things that were happening outside of the house that was stressful because she was running a chamber of commerce, and that was stressful because it was for as a black chamber of commerce, and she had the big problem was her the members paying dues because she put her own money in, and she would take their dues to pay herself back, but they weren't doing that. So that's a little negroology there, right? So
Okay.
that was stressing her, and then the plan was for my stepfather to come in. He was her ex,
Uh
so they were
huh.
supposed to get back together, and then then later on, both of them were supposed to kick them out of the house.
Now, at this time, how long had it been?
It was 5 years in.
So, 5 entire years,
Yes.
half a decade is when now she's ready to take some action.
She kept trying. I think probably the year before that, she was trying to do the whole eviction, and she didn't know much about the squatters law out here, and
Okay.
so they responded to her, threatening that they're gonna do the squatters thing on her. So out here, where she's staying, that law would allow them to stay with her 60 days plus another month and a half to even get them convicted. So she's alone with them two, sleeping overnight. She felt kind of threatened that court proceeding would be there, and
Uh huh.
she had to go to sleep and all that kind of stuff, not knowing what they're going to do to her. So she told me to call every now and then. I'm like, Mom, if you got to do it,
Wow.
stay with me, and then just kick him out later on. Have some mafia or somebody. And
Hmm.
she said, I worked too hard to keep this house. I ain't going nowhere. This is what I've been retiring and saving up for. We don't. I'm gonna get them heifers out of my house. She kept saying that. So certain things were breaking like stoves and all that. And so
Hmm.
when the stove was broken, I'm like, oh, okay, Mom, I'm gonna get somebody to fix it. She's like, no, don't touch that. I want them to be uncomfortable. I want things to make them feel like they should move. The next day or week or so, they went on and bought hot plates. They were doing whatever they can to stay and make her miserable. Yeah.
Well, I'm pause right there for a moment. That was a long time, and as far as trying to make her miserable, they were comfortable. They were going to do whatever it took to stay, and that's very unfortunate that it went on this long. Now, I will say, when it comes down to siblings, that's sister brother love. It's different from any other type of love. We can look and say, well, why you do this and why you do that? Because I used to ask, this guy was saying, I used to ask him why he keep loaning money to his brothers and sisters all the time and complain when they don't pay back on time. I looked at it as the solution is stop loaning them money.
Mhm.
But right, and but as far as the relationship among the sisters and brothers, I didn't understand that.
Yeah,
And yeah.
Now,
yeah,
you as a child, because you are the child in this situation, whether you were um, 15 or 40, you still was the child. You're looking at your mom and her siblings and what's going on. And even though you were right there making all the logical statements, unfortunately, it just doesn't kind of work when it comes down to siblings. It is something totally different. So I
Mhm.
want to just add that.
yeah. The,
Hmm.
the issue was, my mom's from Mississippi, and so you know how it was when you got people that leave from the South and go like maybe Chicago, Detroit, New York, Los Angeles. They move away from like the bad situation or the poverty or whatever. And so they came from humble beginnings, but my aunt learned the ways of the street. She learned how to hustle and maneuver and do things with the law, and she just never got caught. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
she found a way to kind of calm my mother in a way, but my mother was caught in between. Of course, being having a family loyalty, um, looking at the little girl, but at the same time coming to terms that she knew her sister just was not right anymore. She was not no good in it. But at
Mhm.
the same time, she wanted to fight. But the thing was, see, my mom was very physical back in the day. The other women, when it comes to kicking people out, so I just knew for sure she's kicking them out. But my mom got older and a little bit more slower and tired.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's when they knew that they can take advantage because they knew themselves that they would have been kicked out back in the day, easy,
Right.
girl or no girl.
Mhm.
And so they took
Mm.
advantage of that. Uh, and then later on, I guess, and then on top of that, she knew that she couldn't just kick him out alone. So I think the part that really starts spiraling down is that her ex husband gave her the impression that he was going to come back, and he even borrowed money from her, and then
Mhm.
she really needed that money based on the circumstances of what them staying in there. And then
Right.
the dude didn't give her money back, and then he wound up getting married. Was it for 3 months before she passed?
Wow.
She didn't even know. She didn't even know he remarried. So that really devastated because
Mm.
earlier he could do no wrong.
Right.
And so after that, when she started saying bad stuff about him, I said, "Oh, it's something really bad." And I didn't even
Mhm.
find out about this until after she passed. I didn't know that he did that. But that right there, I think that's what really drained her because it was that. Then you got the people stressing her out over the Chamber of Commerce, and then she had to keep coming home to that chaos. So she had nowhere to really what do you call it? To really breathe or to revitalize herself. She wouldn't even go to a fitness, a health, what do you call those spas where you get the massage or whatever that you can stay
Right.
at night. She wouldn't go there because she didn't trust. She didn't want to leave too long, leave him in the house too long. So it was
Wow.
all that, and then she was losing a lot of weight. Um, and she said she was on a new diet, And I'm like, okay. And I knew my mom, like some of you women, y'all can't stick to diets. And so, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is working. This is kind of odd.
Mhm.
And finally, she, well, how can I say? She took care of my son because I had my son's school moved the graduation. He was graduating from eighth grade at the time. They moved his graduation uh, to a different date, so that made it hard for me to go there because I already was supposed to teach out there in Brazil. And I had all this stuff, thousands of dollars set up in there.
Uh-huh.
And so I had to go. So she took care of that. She made sure that everything he needed was done. She made sure he had because he was a valedictorian. So he had to
Oh,
get his speech together. So I was like communicating with her in Brazil to come out with his speech and everything. And then, she kept saying that she was tired of people and stuff like that. And then finally when I got home, she lost way more weight. Her face started really getting thin and she was always resting. And I'm like, okay,
Oh.
you all right? So I'm fine, just a little tired. I said, okay, you know. And I remember I was complaining about my job. If anybody listened to T. Hassan Johnson, one of his uh, one of his broadcasts, he had a few professors on his panel, and they were complaining about how they treat brothers in different departments. So that was my story when I came back. So they would treat me pretty bad. Feminism is a hell of a drug. But anyhow, they would give me the business, so I lost the class, and so I was really pissed off. And
Hmm.
so when I told her that, usually my mom would always find some way, like, hey, let me make some calls or whatever. When I told her that, she just rolled over and went back to sleep. And I said,
Oh.
odd, you know. And then I'm like, Mom, you okay? So yeah, I'm just getting, just getting me some sleep. I said, okay. She's always about sleep, sleep, sleep. And so finally, I was at home. I don't know, before I left home, no, before I went home, my aunt sent me a text message asking, is my mom okay? You know, because she's worried about her. Go figure, right?
Right.
So I went down there, and my mom was laying on the carpet in the room. I never saw her lay on the ground in the carpet in the entrance room. And I had my son with me, and so I was like, "You okay?" And she said, "Yeah, why?" And I showed her the text, and then she read it, and she said, "Just tell her I'm okay," like that. And then she got up. She said, "I'm gonna go ahead and get me a vitamin B shot so I get some energy because she feels tired." So I said, "Okay." And then I'm walking, I'm walking out of the house slow, like
Uh-huh.
to see if she's gonna be cool or whatever. And so I left, and I figured, because I had to get my cable installed at the time. Uh, yeah, but when the dude was finishing up my cable, I got a call saying that my mother was in the bathtub and they couldn't really get her out, and she looks like she's real sick or something. Looks very serious. So I
Mm.
told the cable dude, and I said, "Man, I gotta hurry up, dude, or you come back another time or something, because I gotta get out of here." So would you believe on the way there, I ran into traffic. So I'm over here trying to swerve and do some Batman driving, and then the ambulance beat me there. So I went there, and I guess they were finally helping her out of the tub or whatever, and they was taking her to the hospital. And I remember I was looking at her, and I said in my head, like, you didn't take care of yourself. I just knew. I said, she knew the look I had. You know,
Uh-huh.
we talk about this every now and then, and it was more like in my head, like I told you so. I was kind of pissed. And then she kept looking at me like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Nothing," like that. And so they finally got her into the ambulance, got to the hospital. They told her that she had stage 4 cancer, and they
Wow.
they said they're gonna have to run more tests to find out if there's any options or if anything they need to do. And so I'm already pissed. You know,
Mhm.
she's like I don't have no cancer. My mom was very positive minded. I don't have nothing. I'm not gonna claim it.
Uh-huh.
People say, and so but the thing was her head. She was very lightheaded, so the cancer kind of went to the brain,
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
so she couldn't really think clear most of the time. So they were giving her medicine and stuff to help her with her blood circulating in the brain, and the cancer was pretty much found in the uterus.
Oh, wow.
So that's where the strongest spot was, and it was spreading. So I guess when she was in the tub, she must have like a slight stroke, and it kind of like just it aggravated everything.
Right.
And so I'm trying. People hear me talk on panels. I'm going everywhere trying to find whatever I can to make sure that she can live. Because me and
Uh-huh.
my mother, that's all that stuff that I hear me talk about. That's from my mom. We always talk about healthy remedies and stuff like that. But the problem with my mom is that she managed to eat a Snicker bar and try to do a body cleanser, stuff like
Mm.
that.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, it ain't gonna work that way, mom. She's like, shut up, I know what I'm doing. So,
Of course. Hmm.
so, and so, I was going to different homeopathic places, and that's where Dr. Sabi's daughter, Usha, she sent me some products for free. Like it was, I think it was
Uh-huh.
and sea moss and stuff like that. Because
Hmm.
me and her, we talk a lot, and she was kind of crying herself because she remembered, how her father was, going through his thing, and she wasn't able to reach him.
Mhm.
Right.
And so she sent me some stuff. It got there kind of late because the postal service or whatever. But the thing was, um, there was a lady that my mother did not like, but all of a sudden she came around pretending like she was her friend. That was the thing. You have people that was coming around pretending like they were all good and cool with my mom, and they didn't understand. My mother tells me everything,
Hmm.
you know. And they're like, "Yeah, we were close," and blah blah blah. And I'm like saying, like in my head, like, "No, you weren't," you know.
Yeah.
And so that was the thing, is like I had to filter that. She said she didn't want nobody standing over her because she didn't want. I guess she didn't want people to make her feel like she's dying.
Mm.
So
Uh-huh.
in the beginning, you could tell she was fighting it a little bit, but I don't think she had much the mental capacity to push through it. And
Hmm.
so later on, that lady that she didn't like, she went on and raised money for her. Her and these
Mhm.
other witches council that came to be or whatever. And so they felt that if they gave me the money, uh, put it this way, they raised the money, but they kept the money from me.
Okay.
And I was doing real bad, because I was running out of money buying remedies, because I was trying to buy as many remedies until something worked.
Right.
And
It's understandable.
I was running out of time, and I had to work. So
Hmm.
Right. You're only one person.
yeah,
Right.
Yes.
and I had to maintain, pick up my son, and all this stuff. So it was a lot of things I had to do, and I had to guard my mom, that kind of thing too. I had to be
I'm
like,
gonna sh- I'm
uh,
gonna shift you a little bit because I would like to. I have a letter actually that we can have this conversation as far as the depth of that part of a loved one, but I want to move on a little bit more to the family feuding.
Okay, so that's
Um,
I'm gonna get to
Go
that
ahead.
part real quick. So every time well, real quickly, because that kind of ties into it about the
Okay,
taxes.
cool.
Um, we, the long story short on that, they were nickel and diming me the money as though as I was a child. Okay, I was really pissed off because I really needed that to buy certain things that I knew my mother would need, and so. Uh, my second mom that's around now, her name is Dr. Rosie Milligan. People heard of her, but she pretty much told me to just lay low, play it cool, take the money, whatever you can, and do what you can for your mom. So she was acting in for that, and so finally, quickly, her last day. Oh, every time my cousin and my aunt kept coming in, she kept, you can tell they weren't there for her well-being. They were
Mhm.
only there to see whether or not they had a place to stay. And then
Mhm.
later on, my aunt was trying to talk to me about the bills and stuff in front of my mom while she was in the bed. And I kept telling my aunt it's not a good time. So we got bills and blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there like, I said, can we talk about this later?
Mhm.
And so, then she even asked me, so what a cable bill is due tomorrow. And I'm saying like, huh? And they both had two jobs at the time. They
Mhm.
both had
Okay, so these were some working adults. Okay.
Yeah, and they were full-time jobs. So I'm sitting.
Wow.
They're are they in their 30s and 40s?
Well, my cousin was in her late 40s
Okay.
or mid 40s, and my aunt is in their early 60s at the time.
Okay, so we're talking 40 and 60-year-olds. Okay, gotcha.
Yes,
Right.
Okay.
they were old enough, and they made enough money. So I'm sitting there holding it in. By the way, I didn't cuss nobody out. I'm trying to really stay calm and do my job. And so real quickly, oh, and the thing that kept bothering me was that my cousin kept saying, "Auntie, you're okay, Auntie," and that
Mhm.
irritated the hell out of me because I already knew. I just felt the vibration, and my mom was like kind of playing it off too, the best way she could. And then the day that she passed, I'm going further. I mean, skipping now.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, the day that she passed. Um, my cousin did the whole auntie thing, and I was like, look, I said, can't you see that, my mother's not well? I said, I think you need to give her some time, because this is not helping. So she stormed out, right?
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, good. And so finally, the nurse and the doctor told me that they think it's time that they take my mom off the heart thing or whatever you call it,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
that little thing that beeps. And
Right.
so um, I kept looking. I was like, no. First, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that, because I think we still have a chance. I missed a hope. And so I have a doctor that's a cousin that's a doctor, and so he called. I called him and told him what was up, and he tried to help before, and then finally he had to come or I had to communicate with me again about it. And so what he did, he literally had to coach me into let my mom die. So
Mhm.
he told me to check her because we were on the same page. We can't trust every hospital, especially those hospice people. I still can't stand or trust hospice people.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
he was like, check her vitals. He said, how's her kidneys? How's her lungs? Blah blah blah. And I told him all that, and he said, look, man, she's ready to go. She won't recover from that. She doesn't have enough fight in those, because like everything was pretty much gone. I mean, she had the yellow eyes, all that stuff. So that means her liver was completely gone. Not pancreas, but what's the other one? Lungs, all that was just gone. So he said that he said what you're going to have to do. it just just cause she's already on the morphine, you know, just let her go peacefully.
Mhm.
Okay.
I had to literally look at the numbers. You know how the numbers go low?
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Because at first, it kept her heartbeat at a certain um, tempo or whatever. And so
Uh-huh.
I had to look. I had to literally look at the tempo go from the certain number to zero.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm just sitting there, just literally waiting until she died.
Mhm.
And where are the family there? Where are
It,
they
it
at
was
this point?
it was just me. When I knew what I had to do, I did not want anybody else around.
Mhm.
I wanted her to have peace. I wanted her to really just have pure energy without anybody coming
Okay.
around doing whatever, God knows
Right.
what.
Yeah.
And one of these little sneaky, one of her little sneaky pastor friends wanted to come in, and she was very persistent about it. I was like, "Look, lady," I
It
said,
was a she?
a she, yeah."
Okay.
She
Uh-huh.
called her priestess something or whatever. I was like, "Look, lady," I said, I don't have time for that. This is my mother we're dealing with, so please respect that. I said it in a little bit more of a,
You haven't even seen this woman any other time.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, because she was only around
Yeah.
my mom when it was come to doing some kind of money stuff. It was always money, 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 money. So she was always about that. And
Mhm.
so, finally I saw her pass or whatever, and I had to, say my goodbyes and all that kind of stuff. And then when I went to the parking lot, guess who I saw in the parking lot? It was my
They
aunt.
were out there waiting. Uh-huh.
They finally, showed up, you know, and then I guess we hugged or whatever, and they were crying on my shoulder and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
later on, we started. I had to plan the funeral.
Okay.
I had to go right into work mode.
Right.
And
Mhm.
and guess what was kept coming up? The bills. I'm like,
Mhm.
mom just passed, but we still
Well,
talked
the
about.
bills were, I'm sorry, the bills were already there during everything. So that's crazy. Just keep saying over and over again. The bills were already there during all of this.
Yeah,
But
Right.
continue.
because I guess what they were trying to do was get me to pitch in or something.
Mhm.
And I could see the
Did you
more.
say anything?
I just said I'll look into it. That's all I kept saying. I'll look into it. I just kept trying to buy time to get my head together, right? And so
Okay.
the reason why I brought up the lady with the money or whatever when she raised the money, she was
Hmm.
going behind my back, speaking bad against me because um, I was, she was upset that I was limiting people from coming in anytime they wanted, you know, and she kept saying, "Well, he don't know what he's doing. He's in over his head." Blah blah blah. She was sending like multiple texts of different people, and so I talked to her on the phone because at first she was all super sweet, and so
Uh-huh.
I talked to her on the phone. As a matter of fact, this was my birthday, and this is when I was doing her obituary.
Hmm.
Wow.
So I'm sitting there talking on the phone, like, "Look, man, I'm hearing that you saying all these things about my mom or about me handling my mom's stuff, whatever." And I said,
Hmm.
"I hope you understand that, I'm doing A, B, and C, blah blah blah." So I'm still trying to be cool or whatever. And then she said, anybody of intelligence should know blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
And I think I was on the third paragraph of my mother's obituary. But when she pulled that out, I
Uh-huh.
did I did cuss her out. I did cuss her
Mhm.
out.
Okay.
I told her you ain't family. Like you
Did
ain't
you ever
family.
hear from her again?
Mhm.
Not from her, but she told after I said all that, I did cuss,
Uh-huh.
but she told everybody I called her a bitch, and she told everybody that I threatened her.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting there like,
Uh,
really? And then, because I just told her that I said I don't even want to see you at my mother's funeral.
Uh-huh.
You
Right.
know, I said you put me to enough already. I just don't want to see you. I just don't. I don't feel like seeing you. But she took that as me threatening her. So she told everybody I was threatening her and blah blah blah. And so everybody knew she was full of it. And so anyhow, of course, the aunt and the cousin, they were all there and stuff like that. Matter of fact, we were trying to find things because we didn't have this part. I guess you wanted me to talk about one of the parts. She didn't. We didn't have. We couldn't find anything to help bury her or to make sure her services were taken care of. Her retirement money was pretty much tied up because they would require the death certificate and all that other kind of stuff. So they were a little slow too of letting go of that money. So
Hmm.
we had to do a GoFundMe. Okay.
Did
So
they eventually give her retirement money? Did they release that?
yeah, I got it, but a lot of late fees occurred. We couldn't afford to bury her out here in Los Angeles because everything is sky high uh, when it comes to burial. So the only thing that we were able to afford at the time was the funeral service and the mortuary service.
And you're really just saying you and not we because I'm sure it's just you doing this by
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, I was
Is that
ahead of it.
correct?
Yes, I have family. Like I had a few
Hmm.
family like pitching in money, like 500 here, 300 there, 200 stuff like that. And we had some family friends pitching in money too. So that was just enough to take care of funeral, the funeral service and the mortuary, but we still didn't have enough money for the burial. And so we found out that it's much cheaper to send her to Mississippi. And so I wind up doing that. But the problem was still that, I had to use half of my paycheck, and then my aunt had to use uh, half of hers.
The aunt that lives there or
No,
was living there?
no, oh heck no. She would have a heart attack.
Okay.
She would have a heart attack. She
Okay.
money.
So those people never gave anything. This aunt and cousin and
No, she kept begging people to help out with they were really trying to help fundraise. So they were really
so
trying to.
they had a fundraising going on that was a pretend fundraise for the burial. Is that correct?
It just wasn't going. It just wasn't coming out of their pocket. But they were helping out. They were helping out with raising money. Like asking people for donations and stuff like that. So they were doing that part. And
Uh-huh.
and then what's crazy is that remember they had full access to her house uh, the whole time she was sick. She was sick for 23 days, and so or actually 24 days, something like that around there. Anyhow, so that means that they were able to go all in her file cabinets and all kinds of things. So whatever my mother left behind, you best believe they had it. Okay, but they were pretending like they were looking for it. So whatever I was looking for, they already hid it.
Hmm.
Because my mother wouldn't just leave, she would not just not leave anything behind.
Right.
And so
Okay.
plus she's a teacher or was a teacher. So anyhow, after the funeral and all that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
now we get into the family squabbles or whatever. So
Okay.
I'm already ready to sell the house because I can't pay two mortgages. And I was definitely after knowing the history of how they got down with my mom, they sure was not going to stay in the house anymore. So I had to let them know gently, like, look, I got this is
Gently. What
Right.
year and month was that? Gently.
yeah,
So
it was
we
like
know what type of time this is.
this is a month after she passed after the funeral, and so
Okay.
I brought my realtor in. We had everything set up, and I told them that you guys have so much time to move because I have to sell the house. I can't handle this and blah blah blah. And I just want this off my hands. And she kept saying, "What if I could just say the house?" And I'm sitting there like I said to myself, and I'm quite sure you guys are thinking, why couldn't she come with that same energy when she was living? You know,
Mhm.
I have so many different thoughts, and I'll keep them to all to myself. But continue.
and I'm like, I said, with all due respect, I said it's too late for all that because she's real behind her. My mother was really behind her mortgage like probably 3 years before she passed because of them. And then some other stuff called a hero loan. If you guys get across a thing called a hero loan, run in another direction. It's a scam. So that
Mm.
hero loan caused her mortgage to almost double because they claiming that they're improving your home and all that kind of stuff, and they put money towards it. But the problem was it bring the property tax like damn near triple. So it affects the impounding mortgage, and so she was real behind since then. And then that's why I was getting more stressful for her, by the way. And anyhow, when I was telling my aunt, the plan of how we're gonna get this done, I even said, look, uh, after this, we're going to give you a couple of grand towards your first rent, rental or whatever, because I didn't want to be. I wasn't doing it because how I am. I'm saying this. I was doing that because what my mother would do. I'm already having my feelings about it, but I'm like, okay, mom would want me to still help them out just a tad bit. So, but that wasn't good enough. They wanted to they wanted to stick it out, and I said, sorry, ma'am, I can't do it. And then she started badgering me, say, well, I said, why are you wasting my time? And I could have done this, and you waiting to this just now to do all this and blah blah blah. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do because basically, this is I already know how you guys are. Y'all haven't paid anything since my mom was living, so you ain't gonna do it now. And you thought I was gonna go ahead and just walk away and have you this stuff. I should be. I'm just giving it a whole son air speech or whatever.
Mhm.
And so I was kind of teed off because she kept going back and forth with me. Then I just slammed my hand on the table and I said, "This is BS." I said the real word, and I said, "I'm out of here." And then she got up and said, "Who you think you talking to?" And she swung on me. We talking about what, 63 maybe? I think she was around that time, that old. She swung on me. She tried to hit me and missed. And so I'm like, wow, what's going on? And then she tried to do it again, and the my realtor went in between me and her, and I think she hit him instead. But even though after she hit him, she was grabbing my shirt. So I grabbed her hand and then threw it off of me and she fell. Right. And so that's when I really sound like Samuel Jackson or whoever. I was hot because I'm hot
Yeah.
because she even tried to hit me even after the kind of person she was. I was real hot. So I gave in the whole Tyler Perry drama stuff. What did she ever do to you? And my mom took y'all in the house and blah blah, that kind of stuff. And then I guess the realtor, and he took me and my cousin outside, and and I asked my cousin, I said, "You see what happened?" She said, "Yeah, y'all both was at fault." And I'm like, me and the realtor looked at each other like, "What?" And then she said she fell, didn't she? I'm like, "What?" And I said, "Why are you saying all this?" And so I finally got in my, I told my cousin, I guess what? I said, you don't know how much my mother told me about you guys. I asked her, is it true that you took the food, you bought some food and hid it in the room so my mother won't have access to it in her house? And then she just put her head down. I was asking her, is it true that You kept barking at her when she told you guys to let let put tell your daughter to relax or whatever. Was it true that you guys were going to challenge her and to a fist fight and all that? It was more. I just kept her body language kept going down and down. I said, you didn't know I knew this, huh? I said, is it true that you hide toilet paper under the bed? You know, now this is a house that is not even yours. So I was going off at her and stuff like that, telling her all this stuff. And then I said, how come you guys didn't really help her with the funding and the money or whatever? I said I had to give her some money. My uncle had to give her some money. Some friends had to even use a credit card to help pay some things. And y'all standing there like, just free. And I said, is it true that when she was asking for money, and every now and then, you come out with $50, and instead of giving her the $50, you give it to her in a money order and write down where you want the $50 to go instead of trusting her to put it where she felt that it should go. I said, is it true you did all? She kept putting her head down. I said, yeah, so this is why I'm pissed off. I had to lay low before because she told me that. But right now, I'm letting guys know all this stuff because this is just the best time to do it. But anyhow, I went through all that, and I guess they pretend like they were going to cooperate, right? They pretend, but later on, we had the people coming in and looking at the house and stuff like that, and then
Are we on year 6 now
no,
since
no,
they
this
moved in?
this was year 6,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
because and so because it was 2011, yeah, when they first got in, it was 2011. So,
Okay.
so we're talking about 2017.
Okay.
Um, you know, um, I'm sitting there. We're getting people to come in. The house was all like trashed up still. They were looking slop. I guess they wanted to turn off the buyers. You know, and so it got to the point to where we kept waiting for them to move out, and they wouldn't move. They pretend like they had their stuff packed up. And I still had the keys at the time because I was still moving my mother's things, and trying to pack that up. And so for some reason, I hope people are taking notes. For some reason, my realtor told them that if you guys don't move out, one of the buyers is a sheriff and they're going to take action. So whoever was on their law team or whatever told them to take that as a threat. So since they are squatters, they still have the same rights as tenants for a particular time. And so they were able to lawfully lock the doors and um, even prevent any kind of entry, even if I was the owner, which I was considered the owner. My name was on the deed at the time.
So you're not able to even get in the house and you're the owner
Yes,
and they're squatters.
right. I had to get permission from them, and they wouldn't do it. And
Okay.
and that's the thing. Like the what do you call it? The LAPD, they would they would they would honor the owner's wishes, but the sheriff department only goes by what the court says.
Okay.
So that was my dilemma. The sheriff, like, they don't want to get involved. The LAPD will be on the owner's side. So I was, we were LA, we weren't in LAPD's jurisdiction. So
Hmm.
I had to go through that. So matter of fact, years started passing, going by.
2012, 2013, 2014,
No, the time that was happening was 2017.
all the way to 2017.
Yeah, so they were squatting from the time that she passed away in 2017 until 2019.
Okay.
And so 2019 was when they were able to, I was going back and forth in court, by the way. Matter of fact, because I would have been able to sell the house with them in it, But the problem was my aunt put a mechanic's lien on the house. Okay, and for those who don't know what a mechanic's lien is, it is something that usually a contractor would say, "Hey, I did some work to your house and you haven't paid it, so I'm going to attach this bill to your property as a lien." So whenever you sell something, I would be the first one to get the proceeds, and then whatever's left goes to you. And so,
Do you know how much that one was, that particular mechanic link?
yeah, she put it in for $108,000. She claimed
Wow, that's a lot of work, huh?
and check this out, y'all. She said she put in 3 stoves. She said she did patchwork. She said she did wiring, all these different things, right? So it was a lot of lies on that whole thing. And then we had the city requires you to do an inspector's report. So the inspector's report kind of pretty much contradicts everything that she, did. And so I had to go to a lawyer. At first, I tried to do it on my own. I'm gonna advise you guys: if you don't have a background in law, don't do things like this on your own. You gotta have, even if you have legal aid, that's not good enough. You have to try to, really come up with some good money and pay somebody to represent you. Because I had somebody to prepare my paperwork, a legal aid type dude, and for some reason there was always this one little mistake, and I had to start all over. We talking about paying like lots of money for all, it was a lot for me, and so that's why it took so long, because she had I guess a friend that knew all kinds of legal gymnastics, and so that's what really slowed me down, and finally I had to go into bankruptcy because I couldn't keep up with my bills. I was trying to keep up with all these other things. Finally, because I even paid and that's another thing, you guys, too. Most of the time, when you talk about having someone real close that's a loved one, there's always somebody trying to take advantage of you because they feel you're vulnerable. And so sometimes you don't have a clear head. That's why it's always best to prepare or prepare like a friend. Like if you have a friend that you can trust, have a friend help you out with um, getting these arrangements so you won't be doing so much. Yeah, because that was the thing. I had to do all that, so I got cheated out of $800 because somebody gave me the impression that they want to do something and they feel for me and all that, and we gonna take care of it. Dude didn't do anything because what he did, he agreed for me to do payments, but he kept lying and saying that he's taking care of and he's doing all kinds of things. But he did not let me know that he wasn't gonna start until all the payments were taken care of. So that would have been months. And so I started pushing more like, hey man, ain't nothing going on, because I was losing time because the mortgage company they were doing the whole foreclosure threats and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And so I pretty much stopped dealing with him, and that kind of hurt. Then finally, I got with a very tenacious, aggressive eviction company, and then I had to get with well, not illegal shield, but legal shield. That's a company that will give you discounts off of law services. I had to go to Legal Shield to get me an attorney to take care of that lien, and I had to go to this other uh, uh, company to take care of the eviction. And man,
Mm-hmm.
I did. We were going back and forth, and she had a lawyer. Am I taking too long?
No, I was getting ready to ask a question after you finish saying what you're about to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, she had a lawyer. Again, she had this. She okay. She Some people have a lawyer that would tell you to fall in somebody's house and then sue them. Like fall by yourself and just say that you hurt and you can sue them. She had that kind of lawyer, like very skilled
Oh.
lawyer, and they know all kinds of loopholes. And so when we went to court, the lawyer, I was about to win a $24,000 judgment on them because all that time they stayed in there.
Uh,
And so uh, and it was based on the it's called a what's it called a it's called a 60-day notice.
okay.
So the 60-day notice took place a couple of years before I had that court case. So they had to count all the months, all the way from back then. So we're talking about maybe what, a little bit over a year. So that
Okay.
so that accumulated in 20 something thousand dollars. It was a slam shut deal. So it was I was pretty much in there. And then
Hmm.
finally, her lawyer found a way to extend the court service. So I had to pay more money. That's another thing. Every time you make these court appearances, you got to come out the pocket.
Right.
So that was a thing that kept messing me up. That's why I had to do the whole bankruptcy thing. And so um, we got, long story short, and let me make it quicker. So at first, I won the case, and then her lawyer got, for some reason, the lawyer was able to uh, reopen it because the lawyer
Mm.
wasn't there. The lawyer that they wanted wasn't there because they were caught in traffic, blah blah blah. So there's something called having their day in court, and so
Oh, okay.
the judge allowed it. And so finally, they kept trying to come up with all kinds of things. They tried to say that my documents were fraudulent and all this kind of stuff. And then finally, the paper on a notice to with a 60-day notice, it had uh, my aunt's name, but it didn't have my cousin's name on it. But
Hmm.
on there, it had all persons in that's occupying the property on the bottom that was checked off. So I had like a little ditzy lawyer at the time that kind of like didn't see that. So since she didn't point that out, I lost that case,
Wow.
and I had to
Let me
start.
ask you, during all this time, did they have cable?
I'm quite sure they had everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
All
quite
right.
sure they had everything. I wasn't able to go in the house, so I wouldn't know. But I'm quite sure they couldn't live without cable. And so
Yeah.
yeah, so I went on and did the case again, won it, right? I won it, but I had less money though. And then finally, even when it was time for them to be evicted, they put up a fight in that. They kept going back in court. I kept losing money because every time I go, I have to keep paying $400 every time we made a court appearance. And so what she did before that, she went on and tried to put the house in probate court, and she made um, a false will, and and then on top of that, I didn't know about the probate court until late, and so I'm trying to get there, and she wound up becoming I think they call it the administrator of the estate. I was the executor of the estate, so she felt that being an administrator of the estate was going to keep her in the house. So let's go back to the eviction. So I'm sitting there waiting or whatever outside the building
Wow.
that's supposed to be getting kicked out, both of them. And she had some goofy gay dude with her. He's like, that's a damn shame, blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there like, all right, because he was very like vocal. I didn't even
And
know him.
this is year two now. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is the second year. Matter of fact,
So
this is
this is
July
mhm.
of last year.
So 2 years of back and forth court. dropping a case, missing case, adding stuff, phony stuff, taking away stuff. Got to prove this. 2 years of this.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I was still working on that. I got the lien removed too because she agreed to remove it because she knew if I went to court with it, she wouldn't have a chance because she wouldn't have no way to prove that she did those things because I had the inspector's report. So she agreed to remove that, but I found out later on after the eviction, the same week of that February, she put another lien on it for 10,000 instead of 108,000. So she put another one there.
Okay.
So that made it hard for me to sell the house afterwards. But
Gee.
when we got to the, it was a trip. You know, it's the part that probably gonna make everybody smile. So I'm waiting outside. I think it was me and my, I think it was me and my son. I'm not sure. But I'm waiting outside, and then I'm falling asleep, and and then finally the cop showed up. They had the SUVs, and they blocked the road. And they were wearing bulletproof vests and all that. They looking like SWAT team. And they knocked on the door. Well, first I talked to him. I talked to one of the officers, and then I had to sign a piece of paper so they can go in and execute. And so you know how it is in the neighborhood when you got people standing out the doors, at their doors, their houses looking. And so they got him at the door. So my aunt was like, she pulled out this little paper, said, "I am the administrator," or whatever. He said, "I don't care, lady. You're gonna have to get out of here." He said, "You got 5 minutes," like that. And then
Wow.
they were giving him lip. I know Obsidian would have loved that part. They were giving him lip all day. And then the little sugar tank dude was like, "Well, that's just gow." And I'm
Shoot, you
like,
no choice but to go.
yeah,
This is a bit much. I don't know how much, and everyone has their different tolerance. I put the link in the chat room. You guys can join, and if you have any stories or comments or whatever, come on. Um, I do know about people that have to have cable, and I've seen those that were in projects and those that homeless. They have to have cable. I've never seen anything like it before in my life, but it does exist. So I'm not surprised.
yeah,
With the age, 40s
yes.
and the 60s, if you're just a rotten person, you're just a rotten person, and that's just it, regardless of your age.
And I know people are asking like, "What about your family?" And the problem I had with my family, they only knew the good side of her. They didn't see that side of her, so they weren't believing what was going on. They weren't even checking it out. I only had a few people in the family, so I kind of disowned them. You know,
But you got to think too that if your mom sheltered them as well, they're thinking, okay, well, everything is okay. Oh, they'll fix it. So I can understand that you don't want to just push it. And then the things that you're saying, I can see some of the family members thinking it's just more financial than anything. I know even though you explain everything to us, I could actually see someone else just saying, oh, it's just a financial thing. And that's it. Um,
yeah, because they knew for sure. A lot of them knew for sure she would not
mhm.
leave her house with them. After all that stuff, because they knew that some things were happening, but they didn't know to this magnitude as far as with the fights or whatever and all this the crooked stuff. They didn't think that. I didn't think that this would happen either. I didn't think that would be that crooked. I mean, because if you get caught, you go into jail. So they took risk.
uh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, forgery. Oh yeah, yeah. I did all the study on
I
that.
believe you, but I don't know about that. Not a lot of people get that when it comes down to this type of thing. If it was something where they were taken from a company, then yes. But personally, like this,
When you falsifying
mm,
documents about property, real property, and you're testifying in the court of law, basically there is fines and I think up to 5 years of prison time with that.
mm,
I went back
are
and forth with my lawyers about this. So
were they
Well, that's kind
charged
of
with
like the
anything?
equivalent of saying basically, yes, perjury is illegal. People perjure themselves all the time, and they get found out, and nobody gets
Hmm.
charged with that crime. Like the unfortunate
you
part
know,
about some of these charges, especially when it comes to this, because I've dealt with this personally as well. The problem is the the amount of money and effort and expense that's going to go into proving something that and getting that concrete evidence, proving it, and then prosecuting it isn't worth it to the government. And they don't care enough, right? Because this is just like for them, this like, oh, small claims issue, like they're it's a lot of money to prosecute a crime. So these are the types of crimes where honestly they end up just telling you like, well, it's a
Hmm.
he said, she said thing. No, but look, there's proof. Like she clearly lied when da 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 da. Yeah, but and that's what you'll get. And like, I mean, you could try. I'm just saying that we've gone
what I'm
that
hearing.
route
I went
because
through
we.
this. I already went through this with my lawyer. It is a punitive. It's a punitive offense because what's happening is that you are falsifying documents that
Absolutely,
sure. So I'm
absolutely,
not
and
making
we could not prosecute
hold
my
on.
uncle.
I'm not
We
making
couldn't
this up,
prosecute.
and I
I'm
know
not saying you're making it up.
I'm
I'm
letting you
just
know the
saying
law.
that art what I'm saying is I've literally gone through the same thing, and I'm going to tell my story in a bit as well once we get a little bit further with yours. But I've been through the exact same thing, and we tried to prosecute my uncle. We tried and we failed. They would not move forward with the case for exactly what I just said. And that was the problem. And we were infuriated by it because the amount of fraudulent shit he did was astronomical. Like the proof was right there. They would not prosecute it. And that's why I'm
Now let
saying
me
that,
ask you this.
you could
Let
try,
me
but I'm just
ask
telling you
let
my
me ask you this.
experience, they won't do it.
Let me ask you this. Are you
Mhm.
saying that since that happened to you, that's going to happen to everybody else?
I'm saying that generally when they set these legal lazy precedents, where there's certain things that they care to prosecute and certain things that they don't, you have to spend a lot of money, time, energy, and effort to push and fight to get them to finally prosecute and then set that legal precedent that no, you know what, landlords don't have to take this kind of bullshit. You know what, no, family members don't have to take this kind of bullshit. But as of right now, no one has done that fight. And so because no
So
one
you
has
saying
done that
absolutely
fight,
no
you
one
could
has
be the
done it.
one.
So you so
But
hold up, wait a minute. So you saying no one has went further enough to get somebody prosecuted as a crime for doing the things that my aunt did. Is that correct?
I'm saying that everyone that I found who's been through something similar
Mm.
commiserates with me. But more importantly, is that our lawyers, when we tried to go through with this was not like, I'm not saying like, oh, well, I just thought about it once. I heard a story from a friend. Okay. I'm saying that we went through this. And actually, at one point, my uncle had shit so fraudulently done that temporarily both my grandparents were not legally allowed to enter their own home that my uncle was squatting in while they had to still legally pay the bills for it. Like the amount of things that he did that were provable lies, provable perjury, provable fraud,
Hmm.
okay, was astronomical, and they would not prosecute him. They wouldn't even arrest him, to be honest with you, but they would not prosecute him. They wouldn't even get him out of the house. Unfortunately, it's so bad. I'm so happy that in your story, they got her the fuck out of the house because they wouldn't even get my uncle out of the house. He left of his own accord when he had saved up enough money for him to buy his little dream house in Barrie 4 years later. We couldn't get him out, and we kept trying, and we spent $150,000 almost trying to get him out of that house. We had
So I'm
at
not
one point the house was sold, and we still couldn't get him out of it.
I'm not
So
trying I'm not trying to debate with anybody because I went back and forth with this for a while to make sure that this was doable. And then the thing was, is it was about a fine plus jail time. And so that was the thing that I had to make sure. And in this case, and this stuff have occurred to where people did do some time over this. My issue was that, like you said, it takes some time to do it and some money, but at the same time, when your strategy is right, it can get the job done. So I can't speak in absolutes and gloss the whole thing like this is impossible and it can't be done. But what she did was a punishable offense. That's why I have a court case coming up in August, by the way, addressing this. And the thing is that I had to make sure all of my documents were in place so that it won't be my word of mouth, but it was I have fraudulent documents that she has signed, that she has falsified, all the way from the lien, all the way from the fake will and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. So I was consulted with a retired judge, a few lawyers and all that kind of stuff. So I know what I'm talking about. I'm not making this up. I know
Well,
that
good luck. I hope it works. I really do.
your
Good luck.
situation is unique and all that kind of stuff. But I just can't paint things with a broad stroke because I don't either if I don't agree or don't see it, I can't be in that position at all.
No, you know what? I'll say this again, and good luck. I really do hope it works. I really do hope that, it's not a massive disappointment for you. I will just say this. Just because something is illegal doesn't mean someone ends up paying for it, and that's the unfortunate thing
Oh,
in
we got that one
society.
too, Ruby. We got that one too. You know what happened? After
Mm,
okay, I lost the house in February,
mhm.
by the way. But I have her on record inquiring about the house and trying to get a statement. So she put a bid in for the house
Mm,
to the bank. So I have,
wow.
and they don't, and I don't think they know unless they listen to this broadcast. But I don't think they know that the bank sent me that copy
Mhm.
because my name is still as the legal heir. So everything that's inquired, so it has her name, the date, the amount of money offered, all that.
Right.
So I have that. So I have that and and some other stuff too. But
Mhm.
between now and August, I'm still building the case up to make sure that it's a slam dunk. They
Right.
Well, I'm gonna
they crying over it, like, paying me that little money that I beat them in the eviction anyway.
Mhm. True.
well, I'm gonna say, Art, that I hope things work out too.
Mhm.
And I've seen also where people have done all those things that you mentioned and nothing has come of it. Um, and but I'm hoping for you that it will work out. At least
Right.
I would have someone I'll know in history that actually, sued and won. I
Right.
would love to have that, someone that I know. I'm going to go ahead and let Ruby start with the top of the hour. You can give us your story, and let me see if anybody want to come in. Let me check. No, not so far, but you can give us a shorter version. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll give you a
sorry
little
about
quick
that.
rundown, but so this is all gonna start with basically who I like to call evil incarnate, my grandmother, now deceased. But basically she was very very manipulative, cruel person. And so when she had left her husband to go, shack up with some man, and wanted money. At this point, she had run out of her little resources, so she wanted money. So what she wanted was her half, what she felt would be her half of the house. Um, Now it's her name's not on the deed or anything like that. It's my grandfather's house. Um, that actually ended up changing eventually throughout the story too. But anyway, and so what she wanted to do, she figured, well, okay, if I can just get the man, my grandfather, thrown out of the house, then I'll sell it out from underneath him because he can't physically be there to stop it. This was her plan. And so what she did was she conspired with my uncle. This is my grandfather's only blood child in this family of three children. Conspired with him, turned my uncle against his father slowly over time to the point where he was angry and, disgusted by his own father over a bunch of lies, mind you. And got my grandfather. Basically, what my uncle did was he took my grandfather by surprise in the kitchen, attacked him, pinned him down on the floor, and then started yelling for his fiance to call 911 because he's got him now. Called the police, told the police that my grandfather was acting all crazy, threatening to kill him, then, jumped him, and this whole fight ensued and whatever. Told this huge lie. So as a result, my grandfather gets arrested for armed battery, and I can't remember what, there was about 3 or 4 charges attached to it. And my uncle goes and immediately gets a restraining order. So now my grandfather can't set foot onto his own property. So he came to live with us. Now, my grandmother didn't think through her little plan. She never does. Because in her little plan, she forgot to ask if my uncle was actually going to leave the house. He decided he's not leaving. He's not leaving. He does not care. He is not leaving this house. He ain't ready. He likes living for free inside the basement of this house. And so basically from there now, after I think about just over a year or so, she came back with her tail between her legs to have to join forces with her husband now to try to get my uncle out of the house. So they could at least sell the house. My grandfather had given up, fine, we'll sell the house to get the money, forget it, because I can't even go onto my property right now. It's just whatever. Can't get my uncle out of this house. The amount of time, energy, effort, and money spent trying to get this man out of this house. I don't know where he was getting his legal consult from. I don't know, maybe because the internet was not as big back then. I mean, it existed, but it was not that big. It was in the early 2000s. But he came up with some magical things. I gotta say, like, and honestly, it's been like 20 years. I should have went back into the files and pulled up all of the things my uncle had already. Every time we went to the landlord and tenants board, my uncle had already filed something in advance that precluded what we were trying to do. What When we tried to go at him from the legal context, because he had started doing like writing fraudulent checks and whatever to pay the bills so that way he could still live there without him having to pay his own bills. When we tried to legally then charge him for that, he said, I didn't do it. The police went, well, we can't really prove he did. And that was the end. Well, who else would have had a motive to pay the bills on this house since no one lives in it but him? Who else would have had access to the checks? You could probably just dust them for fingerprints, right? And find out that his fingerprints were on it. Well, I mean, but he says he didn't do it. So like literally, those were the answers we were coming up against. And legally, the way that it's set up is, again, squatters' rights. Once someone's there inside of that house and they have legal residence inside of the house, it's very difficult to legally get someone out of your house. Very difficult. And so I think, like I said, that was about 4 years. 4 years of that. 4 years of my grandfather trying to fight his own case, where now he was not able to work for the government anymore because of the charges pending against him. So it was ruining his livelihood and career just for the charges pending. So he's trying to sit there and fight that and trying to prove that he didn't attack anybody, because he didn't actually. Now from there, and like I said, 4 years, then my uncle just left of his own accord one day. My grandfather actually ended up moving back into his own house. And my grandmother eventually, I think it was about 8 years later, her boyfriend died. And so she needed somewhere to live. And my grandfather, for I don't know what reason, said she could come back and live at the house. Now, my grandmother has an older son. And that older son basically blew up his whole entire life by getting a DUI, which means he lost his logistics company. He walked away from it, actually lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because he didn't even sell stuff. He just let it be repossessed because he was so depressed. And my grandfather basically nursed him back to health, even though this man had never shown my grandfather any kind of respect for years, like 5 years, just nursing this man back to health. But my grandmother, again, got greedy. And she wanted to sell the house again because she wanted the money. And so this time she turned her older son against my grandfather. And I mean the lies that she told these young boys, right, who just want to impress their mother and have their mother finally love them, right? Oh, he tried to attack me, he tried to rape me, he tried to this. She would just make up whatever to get them riled up and upset so that way they'll do whatever she wants. In this case, over my grandfather turning off music, my uncle attacked him with a machete. I mean, like hacked him to try to hack him into little bits with the machete. Inside the house, 52-year-old man, no criminal convictions in the past. Now that's what he's arrested for, in jail for, because my grandmother wanted the house and she wanted my grandfather dead. My grandfather didn't die, so it didn't work out for her. And then the son she had manipulated is now in jail and can't go anywhere near that house even if he gets out. So, it didn't work out for her. And see, when we talk about this family feuding and infighting on my one side of my family, right? Like you name something on that side of the family, we're probably doing it. But if it's not that side of the family, my other side of my family, we have another evil incarnate person. And see, I think, I don't know, in my family at least, there are these hubs of evil and manipulation and deception, and there's no love in them. There's no care in them. There's no togetherness in them. They don't care about, even about the people they're manipulating. They don't care about them. They sometimes they're just playing with you like a cat playing with a mouse. And so, you get these infighting people and they're playing a game always. Oh, my grandfather's slowly dying and he doesn't have a memory anymore and whatever. Oh, well, I'm just going to show up and pretend that I care. Oh, my grandmother dies from cancer, the evil incarnate one. Oh, I know. I'm going to show up after she died, even though I did nothing to help take care of her, and then start demanding money and then start threatening the life of my grandfather because he doesn't deserve any money and, like all kinds of crazy stuff. I didn't even go to her second funeral in Jamaica because so much death and violence was being threatened. My mother was very scared for my life to go, because half of the family had turned on me because I'm my mother's child, and they figured she was going to get more money. And then even if they went and killed her, I would still have the money. Like, I mean, this is all over money, all over just manipulation and game planning and wanting to be, something. And, whenever it's family and you have family members like, say, me or my mother, we're actually people who have hearts and care about each other. That's exactly what they use to manipulate and destroy you, all to get whatever it is that they want. They want the life insurance, they want your life savings, they want your house, they want something that doesn't belong to them, that they don't deserve, that they never earned, but they decide that, what, they're entitled to somehow, because if you have it, they should be able to have it. And because if they look at it and they want it, they should be able to get it somehow. So that's the way. Oh, those are, just a quick highlight reel of all of the things in my family that came up when we talked about the family feuding stuff. As of late, I literally am not speaking to almost anyone in my family except for my parents directly on either
Wow.
side. Yeah, I'm not. From the time that my grandmother died last year, the way they treated me, the way they treated my mother, especially, the way they treated the estate, like they're sitting there all knocking down her door and threatening her life and stuff over, because, they didn't feel like their piece of the pie was big enough, because the pie was being used to pay for the funeral, which of course they picked. My uncle's the one who picked the funeral home, sent my grandmother to a funeral home so that way for sure she'd be locked into that one, because he wanted to pretend he's, an Israelite now, so it has to be the only black owned funeral home. He could have just discussed it with us and we could have transferred her how many weeks later, but no, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to be shifty and shady. Then we're going to demand this kind of coffin, this kind of flowers, this kind of whatever. That stuff costs money. Everything costs money. So her settlements, her life insurance, her estate went to paying for all of those things, paying off her debts, and of course, because they're not doing any of the work or helping at all, they don't know that. So they figure, oh, well, it's $250,000. Oh, yay, I'm going to get, $100,000. That's how they were looking at it. So when they didn't get it, they assumed that, oh, well, she must have gotten this huge piece of the pie and they just got crumbs. And so they went to go get more of the pie, even though One of them owes my mom well over $10,000. That, of course, he's never
Mhm.
going to pay because my mom keeps lending him money and then he keeps not paying her. The other one owes her a little bit less than that, but still, you know what I mean? Like, it's like to
Mhm.
see the way that these grown ass men, 40, 50, 50, 60-year-old men, could behave and act like animals and the way they could treat their sister. I Yeah, no. I'm over family. I'm over blood family. I'm more about the family you choose.
Yeah, I hear these stories all the time. I've seen a lot happen, and I just stand back personally and just wonder, uh, why is it that important that you're related? You deal with them differently than you do if they were someone else. I understand, but there's another part of me saying that you need the same results and punishment that the next person get. I
Hmm.
don't know why, but that's me looking from the outside though.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of times with these, um, with the funeral and everything, that is expensive. It is very costly. And then some people or families, they want to do it up. They want everything in gold. That's
Yeah.
how they want to send their loved one away.
Right. And
Um,
on top of that, there
mhm.
were two funerals because there was one here, but my grandmother wanted to be buried in Jamaica. So she had to have a specialized casket, of course, that could be shipped internationally. And then there was a funeral in Jamaica that had to be paid for. So it's not even just one funeral that you're paying for. Now you're paying for two funerals. Like that's a lot of money. And then on top of
Yeah,
that, because the way that Jamaicans are is they think we're rich, right? Because they hear how much we make per month and they go, "Oh my God, you're like millionaires," because they don't understand how much we have to pay in bills per month, right? So like to get auntie so and so, my grandmother's sister, my grandmother's brother, my grandmother's niece, and all these people from all over the island to the funeral, who's paying for that? My grandmother's estate, which came out of my mom's pocket because the estate hadn't been settled yet, right? So my mom was paying this on credit cards and whatever to give everyone what they want, even though my mom was the one who took care of my grandmother for a year with zero help at all. She was the only person taking care of my grandmother. My mother was devastated, and she had no support from family, no support from anybody. She just withdrew into herself. My mother's a very sociable, want to be all up on you person. I couldn't find my mother for a year. Like I was just so alone and I wasn't used to being alone. And I was like, I was grieving and I finally wanted her company, but she didn't want anyone's company. That's how devastated she was. And in the midst of all that devastation, this is how her quote unquote family, the boys, my mother sat there and fed and cooked for, cleaned up after, took care of and whatever when they were young because she was the girl child, right? And my grandmother was often off traveling or doing something else. So it was my mom that was there for them their whole lives, and this is how they can treat you. Like that show really showed me something. I'm always so envious of people who had siblings their age and stuff to grow up with, but then you hear these types of stories, you see these types of stories, and you're like, what is that really worth? Apparently, not. It's not better than the friendship I have with my best friend. That's for sure.
yeah. It's. I don't know why there is no respect among the family when there's grieving and different things going on. I just don't get that. It's really
Hmm.
unfortunate, but it exists.
Yeah.
And I think also what we need to do while everyone is young and healthy is to put things in place so as time go on, you can adjust, your living wills and all that as time go on. If you adjust it, because I know it's something you don't want to talk about, you don't want to deal with, but eventually it's going to have to be dealt with. You're going to have lots of people to say, well, he would have wanted this. Well, she told me she wanted this. And you have all that going on. Then you
The
have those
unfortunate
that,
part is,
oh, I love it. Go ahead.
Shar, people go and contest this stuff anyway. I will, and I've watched this. Not it's not just
Hmm.
black people. I watched my stepmother's family do this when her mother died. Right? People go and contest the will. They don't think it's fair. They think that she wrote that under undue stress when she wasn't of the right mind. Blah blah blah. And so they'll go and they'll contest the will, right? Because why would they just let this person's last wishes and their wishes for their estate to be determined? Right now my aunt, who has been the executor of my grandfather's living will for a long time, because he lost his mind a long time ago to Alzheimer's. um First of all, my other aunt, who's my parents' half sibling, whatever, my other aunt is trying to contest that in court, because she wants to become the executor. She wants to have that control of that pot of gold, basically. And she came up from the states, and she's come up several times from the states to go to court here to fight for the right to have control over the pot of gold. First of all. Second of all, my aunt having control of the pot of gold does not mean that she's executing fairly, because like I said, she is evil incarnate, which means, you know what, she uses that money and dangles it over people's heads, and uses it against people, and so on and so forth. So I mean, I don't even know, maybe stuff would be better with my half aunt from America. I don't know, but it's like, why? I don't know, I find it so disgusting. Like, when my stepmother died and it was like I could get money from her estate, all I had to do was fill out the forms. I didn't, because I felt like it was blood money and I didn't want it. I didn't want money because she died. And I felt the same way about my grandmother. I don't want money because she died. I don't want money from my father-in-law because he died. Like, it's just, to me, it just feels grimy and creepy. So I don't understand the mentality that these people have, that they're able to be so manipulative and dirty and disgusting just to profit off of someone else's death. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, just think about these people, the aunt, cousin, they're kin to Art. Meant nothing.
Mhm.
They were kin to his mother. That's her son.
Mhm.
Still get disrespected. Doesn't matter. And
Right.
that's why I look at, how people treat people when it comes down to this. It's like, oh, what can I get? What about me? But,
Mhm.
a lot of times this is who these people are.
And
This is who
she had
they
one of
are.
my uncles threaten me too. I forgot to mention that. So he tried
Someone
to,
to threaten you?
she had one of my uncles to try to threaten me. So I gave him the right.
Oh,
So this is
s-
all, I guess that's what I
wow.
inherited, So mainly,
Wow.
I said I had a few, like I said, one of my cousins that was down with me. Matter of fact, I was on the phone with her today. So that's the only thing that I was able to do, is just try to really spiritually heal. I haven't healed yet. I know it probably sounds like it, but I haven't. But I'm still in warrior mode until the stuff is done. You know, um, people, even a couple of YouTubers tried to take advantage when I told my story, because I was still going through some stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, that's what I say. You guys have to watch who you tell, like real deep stuff, especially when you're going through it, because that's when people start like playing like they care and listening.
Mhm.
I'm a good listener and all this kind of stuff, and then later on they go for the kill, man. It's like nobody, and it's funny, when you had a situation, you tell the
Hmm.
story, and then people assume that the next day is everything's back to normal.
Right.
And you know what
Yeah.
it reminds me of, and this the funny part, is when the child almost get hit by a car, and the mom like hurry up and grab the child, and then she said, "You all right?" And he's like, "Yeah." Then he starts spanking him. Didn't I tell you not blah 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 blah? That's what
Wait, y'all telling me that's not normal? What?
boy is traumatized already. He found out he's okay. Then you gonna whip him again? Like really? So
Yo.
that
Oh my
so that's what happens to me, you know. So I'm like, gosh.
god.
So I'm trying to be strong for me and the
Mhm.
loss, you know. But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
That's, that is
Mhm.
many years, and everyone has their tolerance level and way of dealing with things. And I had a few. There was a few weeks ago. I'm not for sure um, how long actually, but I had a lot of people in the chat room laughing, talking about that's a felony. And I'm like, one thing about me, I need peace in my house. I
Mhm.
have to have peace because when I step outside, I can't control all that stuff out there.
Right.
That's one. I can't control my commute, any accidents, any traffic. My
Mhm.
supervisor acting a butthole. The company doing whatever they're going to do. I can't control any of those things.
Right.
But at least when I get home, it should be peaceful. I shouldn't have
Mhm.
to argue with anyone. Just, have a meal, talk, whatever it is, go to bed. I think
Right.
that's not a lot to ask for. It's
Mhm.
just not. And I really don't understand when women act crazy when they get home from work and act crazy toward the man. I never did understand that. And I'm like, wait a
Mhm.
minute. This dude has gone out there and slayed the dragon, and he gets home and you act a darn fool.
You should
What
have
the
told me.
world?
You should have told
Mhm.
me my ex-wife. And
Yeah, I
Mhm.
never
our last
understood that type.
argument, our last argument was over bad breath. That's
Ooh.
how
What?
that's how stupid that was, you know. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I wasn't the one with bad breath.
Or even if you were, the point is, what's with the argument?
I was dead tired too. I was like really falling asleep, and I'm like, and then she asked me something, and a big old funk just went over my face, and I'm like, whoa. And I just asked, I didn't say whoa, but I just said, you been taking fiber? And then, because like some people know if your food is backed up, you're gonna get some stuff going on in your breath. So,
Mhm.
I said, you been taking fiber, and she's like, why? She said she went in my face and said, why? I turned my face
On purpose,
and
yeah.
she did it again. Why? Like that. And I,
Mhm.
and then I got up. I said, "What's wrong with you?" And she said, "I want you to tell me the truth." I said, "You don't want the truth." She said, "Well, shit, I want you to tell me the truth." I said, "You got some badass breath." Like that. And I cannot because and then later on she started arguing with me. I said, "I'm going. I'm going another room." She kept trying to follow me, but it's like, why go there?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like
Mhm.
I was real tired that day. It was Friday. I'll never forget that. When we had that last argument,
Yeah.
she moved out and she tried to move back in, but I told her it's too late. You made your decision. You know,
Right.
I had a
You know what
situation
I
where,
think it is? I think. Oh, go ahead.
oh, okay. I had a situation once where I was working and going to school, but I don't think I was doing both I think it was Christmas break or something. Something was going on. And I was only doing one at the time. And um let me see, was he living with me? I can't remember my boyfriend was living with me or not, but whatever. He was there and he just wanted to just talk and just keep talking. I had to go to work the next morning. That much I do remember. And he was just talking and talking, and it was just it was unnecessary. It was just not unnecessary because when he saw that I was falling asleep, he poked me to wake me up. That's what pissed me off. You know I have to get up and go to work. You're riled up about whatever. I don't know what it was. So I got up and went took the did I take the I think I took the blanket with me to go sleep in the bathtub.
Dang, the tub.
And yeah, I just wanted some peace. I didn't care. He went on and came in the bathroom. And I said, I can't even have be in the bathroom by myself. I said, I'll tell you what's going to be the next step? I'm going to leave out this door. I said, that's going to be the next step. And I'm going to go sleep in the car. So I don't know what it is you want to keep talking about, but it's going to have to wait because so far I've been listening. You haven't got to the point. And he saw I was serious, and that was that, and he shut up. But the point again, back to let's get to the point. We ain't got to argue. I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of things going on in life. Let's try to solve it. Just not going in circles, jerking off. Let's get there. What are we waiting on? Just keep prolonging the end result, and that's what really bothers me. So that's why I said I have to have peace in my home. And I had mentioned on whatever show it was some weeks ago that I would go as far as having that person removed from the house in any means necessary. I would, have them removed in the middle of the night, kidnapped, and dropped off somewhere. I don't care. They just got to go. I just, want my house peaceful. But yeah, I hear you. Go ahead, Ruby. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ruby ain't let nobody sleep, especially if she bored.
No, probably not. Uh, someone's got to be awake. I'm the worst though. Like, because people will try to reach me all day, and I'm either sleeping or just not in the mood. I'll be awake and watch my phone ring and not be in the mood. But when I'm in the mood to talk, everyone should be available. And I'm honestly annoyed that
Leo.
everyone's not available for me at 2 o'clock in the morning. What's
That's
your issue?
Leo. That's
Yeah,
Leo.
I'm the
Yeah.
worst.
That's my
But
wife now. My wife like that now.
mhm. It's like we understand. There's a part of my brain that understands, right? Because I'm the same way. Like, bro, if I'm not available, I'm not available. Chill out, right? I won't hold it against you later, but in the moment, I'm very annoyed until someone or something occupies my time. Um, cause and I am the one who's literally pulled the baby, 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 huh? Are you awake? Right? Like, I woke you up so you can pay attention to me. Um, but no, what I was gonna say earlier is I think what it is when we are outside in the world, and I think that you're gonna see this a lot more in the Western world maybe than in other places, but I think it's true globally. When you're outside in the world, you've got, for lack of better words, you've got a person suit you've got to put on, right? There's a certain mannerism, certain behavior, certain whatever, right? You have to, there's your socially acceptable persona, right? And that is what you wear outside, right? You have that morality of society cap on, and that governs you, or rather, it limits you. And if you know that how you're feeling, how you're thinking, what you're going through right now doesn't fit into that box, you take you and you put it behind like a bunch of armor and walls and stuff to block that off, so that way your little person suit gets you through the day. You don't get kicked off any buses or trains. You don't get fired from your job. You don't get arrested in the middle of the street. You gotta do that. And so when you get home now, um there's a pressure valve that releases, whether you live by yourself or you live with family or spouse or whatever. That pressure valve kind of gets released, and you can take off automatically a bunch of those layers, right? It's like wearing a winter jacket, right? You take that off at the door and then you walk in, and now uh, all of that pressure that's built up from the day of the real you screaming and yelling and wanting to get out and wanting to express things and wanting to say how you really feel and wanting to act and react the way you really wanted to react. That's all at the forefront now. That stuff didn't go anywhere. It's there. So now, for some people, right, it just all it does is take something accidentally triggering it. For others, they go out of their way to pick a fight to trigger it, right? Because they need to
Yeah.
express all of that feeling and they need to express all of that. And that comes from a lack of, I mean, it is a type of dysfunction, right? But it's not like the kind of dysfunction we normally talk about. It's just coping mechanisms and being able to work through and solve certain types of emotions, right? Frustrations, disappointments, angers, hurts in functional ways that would still work well within society. Like being able to speak up to your boss, but in a respectful way that wouldn't get you fired. You know what I mean? Being able to be yourself outside in the street without getting arrested. Being able to mitigate those two things and put them together. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. So they've got the Jekyll and Hyde kind of factor, and it's just about if they could just deal with that and learn healthy coping mechanisms, then they would need less of that coming home to demolish my spouse syndrome to survive.
Yeah. You're gonna end up coming home and I'm be gone because I cannot take it. I cannot take too much because I'm willing to. I'm a good listener. I try to find out what it is you want.
Mhm.
Once I find out what it is you want, now I'm trying to solve it.
Right.
And then when I find you do not want to solve the problem,
Mm,
that's when it becomes an issue for me.
right.
And I'll let you know and say, okay, this is the problem. Is that correct? So I'll make sure I'm reading this right. So this is what you're looking for. This is what you need. Is that correct?
Mhm.
And you don't want to admit to it, or you want like, no, that's not it. Well, what is it? And then we're gonna start all over again. You're gonna do some more talking, and then I'm like, so is it this? And then once I see you BSing me, which is called what is that term? Nelly used to say it. Um, is it ninja?
Everybody, everybody. No, I'm joking.
Um, yeah, he did say that, but it's Jedi mind trick. I think that's what he. Yeah,
Mm, okay.
that when you do that to me, then I'm just done with you. And I've
Mhm.
had that happen with a couple of relationships. It just and once I figured it out, it's like then they want to come clean. It's
Mhm.
not you, I'm just messing with you.
Mhm.
Why?
Man, I'm
Why
about
would you do that?
peace, man. I'm definitely about peace. As y'all don't even hear any noise here. I'm not talking about silence, but I'm like, I just
Oh
don't like the
yeah.
walls shaking and the windows shaking and banging and all that. I'm like, nah, man. you know, uh, and then on top of that, whenever I even play music, the music's kind of at a certain level to where
Mhm.
it can drown out my thoughts.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I've been like that, and people can't say that because I'm older. I've been like that since my 20s.
Yeah. No, it's a personality. That's who you are. So it's not
Yes.
something you're gonna gain. Like I'm a fire sign, right? That is mitigated slightly by Virgo. So as a result, I like peace. I don't want to be angry and unhappy and fighting. I actually hate it. However, that doesn't stop me from having very explosive, very intense, very overpowering emotions and reactions to things, right? I mean, but now I'm the kind of kid. So when I was a kid, I think everyone knows this. I had an anger management issue, massive one. Like I could not control everything. I would see red and then wake up and figure out, here's the destruction I did. But so when I would go, but I had enough control to keep it barely bottled, but I was allowed to throw the tantrum in my room. So I would throw it in my room, throw all my dolls, rip off heads, do all kinds of stuff. So, and then I would, cry myself to sleep. Because normally the feeling I was feeling wasn't really anger. It was normally some type of disappointment, and or shame or something, and I had really big, complicated thoughts and feelings related to that. So I would wake up from my little, cry myself to sleep nap, And I would feel so bad for my dolls that I had treated them so badly and hurt them. And I would cry over how badly I had mistreated the dolls, right? And I would put them back together and hug them, and I would give them a talking to explain to them my behavior was unacceptable. I swear to God, I would do all this. And then once I had straightened up my room again and apologized to everything in my room, I would go apologize to my parents, and like, so it wasn't coming from a place of malice, right? There was that thing there where it's like, I need to learn how to not react. And so now as an adult, I don't react, but that doesn't mean I don't
Mhm.
have the feelings, especially to disappointment. I do not react well to disappointment. When I am disappointed, like I, in my head, am just demolishing everything and everyone within 50 miles of me. I am so upset at the smallest disappointment. I don't like to be disappointed, but I've learned to be silent, right? And so, like anyone who I've ever dated, my spouse, everybody has to learn, right? That when I am upset, and I say, like, please leave me alone. Don't talk to me. Don't try to work through it right now. Don't try to tell me I'm being silly. Leave me alone, because I will start destroying things. And I have a really wicked tongue, and I will be very mean and hurtful because I want to hurt you the way I'm hurt, but I don't actually want to do that. So I have to sit in peace and just calm the fuck down. I have to put the fire out. And then afterwards, when I'm calm, I can come back now and I can explain things calmly without all of the meanness, without wanting to attack, and just explain why I was upset, and can we not do this again, or you know what I mean? But it's like you have to respect people's boundaries. So like if you're me, like as a fire person, I can definitely, overall we can be peaceful, right? But then you have to be able to respect when I need space to calm myself down, so that way everything that we do is in peace. If you can't respect that, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of shit popping off. Just being real. Like, sorry for the cursing, but yeah, I know. Like, I can do some stuff. I have done some stuff. Very recently we have these sliding doors, and just to let you know, I'm upset. I'm gonna slam them as hard as I can against the wall, and it sounded like such an epic boom that security came upstairs to make sure no one died. No, no one died. It
Oh
was just
boy.
I just need to do one thing to get some of the anger out, right? And that was very loud. And with all my body stuff, I couldn't kick and scream and break stuff. That was enough, right? It just made me feel better. So, you know, but see, that's the thing. It's like I have that thing inside of me though where I don't want to hurt. I actually don't want to hurt other people, even though. So I relate to both sides. I get when you feel hurt, you want to hurt other people. I get that because I feel it, right? I want you to feel my pain because I want you to know how much you hurt me. I want you to physically understand it. I want you to live in it with me. Um, right? But then there are people who they actually really do want to hurt you, right? Like even once they calm down, they will be happy that they hurt you afterwards, right? They will be happy they ripped up those damn dolls who looked at them funny, right? And so you you have to differentiate, I think, when it comes to whether it's family or friends or whatever. That person's going to be happy that they knocked you down a few pegs when it's all said and done. They're actually going to be happy that that's what they did. That person's not right. Like for you as a human, as a friend, as a spouse, as a family member, as someone to trust, as someone to, it doesn't matter about all their other great qualities, because the second they get upset, they're coming for you and they're coming for your head. And that's not something you need in your life.
Yeah.
A lot of energy.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of energy.
Friday, something, something we're going to have to do is meditating. But we all have a breaking point,
Mm-hmm.
and we also have to learn who we are, what we can do, and what we can tolerate, and that would help us as well if we,
Yes.
if we're honest with it. And even though I'm chuckling, but at least you're honest and you know that about yourself, and that's
Mm-hmm.
good. That's what we need to know. Who wants to be in a situation, something happened, you're getting arrested or something because you didn't know that about yourself, that you can, if you in these type of situations, you need to remove yourself. So it's good to know that. Just see
Mm-hmm.
how you react in different things, and then find a way, outlet to let those things go. And that's why we have the martial arts and
Right.
meditation and all the other different techniques.
Yep. Kung Fu
Uh,
was actually my window into learning control.
I can
Um,
imagine you doing martial arts, Ruby. That I can.
oh yeah, I did Kung Fu, I did Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Um, really liked martial arts. It was really, really good for me. I remember they actually used to make us do stuff other than martial arts, right? So, I remember one time, in order for us to get our green belt, we had to write an essay on what respect meant to us. And if we didn't pass that essay, it was just pass or fail. If we didn't pass that essay, we didn't get to even do the test. Um, and I remember only me and this guy Tony passed the essay. Five of us were up, and I remember because it was such a powerful concept to me, but to other people in the class, they didn't. It wasn't powerful to them, and it made me realize they didn't really have respect. They didn't have respect for their parents. They didn't have respect for other people. They didn't have respect for master so and so who came into the door. They didn't actually have that respect. It was all, they were putting on a show, right? Um, maybe they're arrogant, maybe they were just childish or whatever, but they didn't have that maturity. And I appreciated that about Kung Fu because they did not want to teach you, I guess, further and further and more advanced things, and basically, in essence, allow you to get to the place where you could really do some damage if you didn't have basic fundamentals of humanity, you know? So yeah, I really, really like that about the martial arts. I think another thing that might be good for some people is arts, the arts. Um, for me, the performing arts specifically. Like I was in, all kinds of music as far as playing instruments, singing, acting. Because it's a way of you again being able to take all of that energy and put it somewhere other than allowing it to just stay inside of you and be trapped and bouncing around. And as teenagers, we're not very self aware. A lot of adults never grew out of that, obviously. Um, but, as teenagers, especially, we're not very self aware. And sometimes we need certain things to help us get connected to why do we feel this way? Because sometimes we just feel a way. We don't even know why we're feeling that way. Like, what is the root cause of that? Are you actually angry? Do you actually even care about this thing? Or are you really reacting to something that happened 4 days ago? You know what I mean? Like, it's something that you're supposed to come to over time. But I think for some reason, a bunch of adults in society never went through that, where they started getting in touch with themselves and trying to figure out, why do I do what I do? Why do I react the way I react? Why? What am I feeling right now in this moment that's making me act this way? I think a lot of people will give answers, but they honestly don't really know.
True, true, and true. And I'm going to end on that. We didn't have any other people that wanted to share their stories. Um, but I do have a video. I'm not sure if I'm going to play it next week or so, but when I do, like if you're available, Art, to come back and chat with us and share that story with us, I'll let you know what that is. As soon as I know, I'll definitely hit you up.
Mm,
But thank you so much. I do appreciate that you shared your story. And again, as I
mm,
said, I didn't want it to be too harsh for you. That's why I said whatever you were willing to share. Because I
mm,
understand if I can't tell a person when they should be okay or whatever, that's not my job to do. I can only accept what you tell me. So I thank you so much that you're willing to give that, and I hope that people will listen, get something out of it, and maybe can grow. And if they know you as a content creator, maybe hit you up, and maybe you all can speak and you know
mm,
share
Yeah,
some stories or some healing or something.
yeah.
mhm,
I grew a callus, so I'm in warrior mode still. So I'm just trying to make sure that I get things done before I can relax.
Okay.
So I just
Uh,
I went on and I finally got her tombstone during the pandemic because I couldn't afford that. So now she has a tombstone on her grave. So I
Mhm.
designed it. I drew it. I drew the picture with Palo Santo, and
Oh, okay.
they took
Mm.
that picture and put it on a tombstone.
Nice.
Okay.
So
That's awesome.
yeah, I would have flew out there, but I can't leave my house alone too long. So
Right.
people breaking in places.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's really not the time to travel right now anyway. But
Mm-mm. If I could
look,
ask a quick question just before you end, Shar.
okay.
So I'm just wondering, with everything that, has been going on, and again, I hope you get, the right resolution come August. But, with that being said, have you had a chance to really just, sit down and grieve? Or has it all been just about this fight that you've been having?
It won't come out of me,
Hmm.
because I can't get the other stuff out of my mind.
Hmm.
I'm not really seeking prison time or anything like that. I'm just trying to
Right.
get the money back that I lost when I was fighting her in court.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to break the bank or nothing, but just trying to put things where they belong. Uh, she also went into my mother's bank account the day she passed, so
Wow.
I have all that. Um, I
Hmm.
mean, the average person would probably be in jail if they went through what I went through. But,
Hmm.
I do have to meditate and get myself through everything. I am working on the whole forgiveness thing.
Hmm.
For me, it has to be programmed. So
Right.
I have to keep calling that spirit, to make sure that I keep things down a level.
Hmm.
Yes, Zero, he recognized it. It's kind of hard to recognize her on the screen, but yeah, but yeah, that's the thing that yeah, the
Mm.
healing thing. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one day at a time, and I think when you're grieving, especially for a parent, right? I mean, obviously, my grieving currently for my grandmother is very complicated because I still call her evil incarnate or evil personified because she was. So it's a little less complicated for me. I think it's complicated in a different way, but my mother, it's different. She still calls me and cries and stuff because it's your mother. It doesn't matter. You never outgrow the need for a mother. You don't. And even if she's terrible, she's still your mother. So, I think that it's a one day at a time process. And it's just unfortunate that, like my mom, you have to go through all this mess and this nonsense. But I think that, once you get a chance to grieve, like forgiveness for you, not for her, is good. But I think, just giving yourself finally, finally the permission to just let go and grieve and not have to, be on guard, basically emotionally strong and whatever, to be fighting all this nonsense is going to be, really good, and you deserve that chance. So I really hope, like I said, I hope August you
Yeah,
get what you need, and it's done, and then you can put that part to rest. You get your financial, you get financially, reimbursed, and then you can say, okay, all of that stuff's done. I'm done with these people. All right, now I can focus on me. So I really do hope you get that very soon.
yeah, I'm working on
Yes.
it. I'm working
Hmm.
on it. But thank you for having me on the show, and I always
You're
come for the
welcome.
call. You know me, so
And thank you so much because again, I say on this channel, you all are the content. You
Hmm.
all are the content. So thank you so much. Thank you for those that contributed to the channel. Thank you for your watch time, your likes. If that like button on your left is not blue, can you make it blue for me? I appreciate it. Like,
Hmm.
share, and subscribe. Tomorrow, 6:30 Central and 7:30 East. Is that right? I got it right.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, because you said like 5 or something the other day, and then I'm like, I don't know what time it's supposed to be.
That's all I had to think about. Yeah, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. We're gonna
Perfect.
do right. We're
Okay.
gonna do the article reaction. That'll be episode 5. If you guys have some time, come on through. We'll share some articles, react to them, and see what happens.
Y'all know it's gonna
And
be good. Y'all know. Shar finds some hilarious stuff, and you're like, I can't believe that hit the news. I can't believe real humans did that. Trust me. If you haven't seen it, show up. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
So you guys have a safe night and hope to see you tomorrow.
All right.
Peace.
Cheers, y'all.
Okay.